I'm Chris Antal. I'm a Unitarian Universalist. I'll show you my dog tags. Proof of my Unitarian Universalist identity. We carry 2 dog tags, and we put our religious preference on the tags, but my religious preference doesn't fit on one tag. So this one says Unitarian, and this one says Universalist. Okay, there it is. Unitarian Universalist. And I'm in the Army. There it is, right there on my shirt. As a candidate for the chaplaincy. And excited and grateful for the opportunity to talk about a new Skinner House publication. I carry it right here, close to my heart. Bless All Who Serve. And this has been just a great resource for me in my ministry with soldiers, but also with military families and with veterans. And I've been able to distribute this book personally to active duty service women and men at Army installations at Fort Dix and Fort Drum. I've distributed them at the VA hospital in New York, where I'm resident. And I've also distributed them to veterans in our own congregation. And I'd like to share a story about that right now. I'm a member of the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association, and I was at a chapter meeting 2 weeks ago, and I brought the books with me. I brought Bless All Who Serve with me to introduce them to my colleagues in ministry. And I told my colleagues when I introduced the book that I had been given these books by Skinner House to distribute into the hands of military families and veterans. And if any of my colleagues who were present had veterans or military families in their congregations, then I would give them copies of the book to deliver into the hands of those veterans or military families. Well, I distributed a number of books to my colleagues, and I'll never forget a retired minister, a woman, coming up to me and asking for a book. And she said, I have a woman that is in a congregation that I'm a part of whose husband was a veteran, and he's died, and I'd like to give one of these to her. So I asked if I could personalize it, as I often do. There's a place in the front cover, and I really like this. There's a place for us to personalize our copies, and I often do that with soldiers. I'll write their name in, and then put a message, and then sign and date it. So I asked this minister, I asked her, well, what name shall I put here? Because I'd like to personalize it. And she paused a moment and looked at me and said, well, put my name there. And I was confused for a moment because I had explained to the ministers that I can't give these away to them for their bookshelves, and if they wanted them for their personal use, they'd have to buy it through Skinner House. So when she asked me to put her name, I just kind of stopped and looked at her, and then she started to cry. And she said to me, my brother was an Air Force bomber in Vietnam, and he died there. So I said to her, so you are a military family member, and I'd like to give this book to you in the honor of your brother. And I I asked her her brother's name, and I wrote it in Philip's honor. And then I said, "What happened?" And she said to me, "We are 6 generations Unitarian, and my brother and I went to a Quaker school. And when he went to Vietnam, our family moved in a pacifist direction. And he didn't think he could come home to that. So he killed himself in Vietnam." So I tell this story because it's been my experience being a Unitarian Universalist, chaplain, and encountering closet veterans in our congregations. Veterans who have told me they've had to bury their war experience. People like this minister I've just mentioned, who carries deep wounds. Others who've had similar experiences have told me they've had to bite their lip and keep inside these stories. So what I've seen and what I've experienced is, with this publication, is it's a message from the Unitarian Universalist Association that we do care, and we can honor these stories. And because I think this message is coming from the denomination, people like this minister friend whose brother Philip died in Vietnam are feeling more safe to come out with their stories. And through that, I think there's great healing that is being done within our own denomination.